Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. We are in Kathopanishad, first chapter, third valli, third part, and on the sixth verse. And we are looking at the analogy of the chariot. And in that, we start from the sixth. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati, yastu vijnanavan bhavati, yuktena manasa sada, yuktena manasa sada, tasyendriyani vashyani, tasyendriyani vashyani, sadashva iva sarathehe, sadashva iva sarathehe. Together, yastu vijnanavan bhavati, yuktena manasa sada, tasyendriyani vashyani, sadashva iva sarathehe. Here it is said in the sixth, but that intellect, yahatu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada, that intellect which is ever associated with the controlled mind, with the controlled senses, only such an intellect discrimination happens. See, the faculty of intellect is discrimination. How will we get the intellect to function at its optimum level? It will function at its optimal level when it is available to itself. If it is continuously hijacked, sabotaged by the mind and the senses, then it will not be able to. How will you be able to function as a man or a woman? For that, you have to be man or woman. But if you're continuously hijacked by being a mother, a daughter, a sister, a husband, a wife, a brother, a son, you're playing all the roles but never being the man. Exactly the same way. So, what do you have to do? You have to negotiate through all the roles. You have to keep them at an arm's distance in order to see the whole picture clearly. Otherwise, life is continuously from one role to the next role, from next role to the third role, or third to the fourth, then again to the first. And we are going on like this again and again and again. So for that, we need our intellect to be having discrimination, and that discrimination is only possible when the mind is restrained and the senses are under control. They are not wild. The previous verse told about the wild mind, uncontrolled mind, and here or in other words, tasyendriyani vashyani sadashva eva sartehe. And in this manner, then the mind and the senses are under the control of the sarathi, sarathehe, meaning the intellect. So the vehicle can go to some destination, reach some destination only when the reins and the horses under are under the control, are in the hands of a capable intellect, not any intellect, capable, who can handle. The charioteer must be able to
Alert from updates available.
the charioteer must be able to handle, hold, steer the horses through the reins in the desired manner to reach the destination. See? And that is what is told here. यस्तु पुनः पूर्वोक्त विपरीतः सारथिः भवति विज्ञानवान् प्रगृहीत मनः समाहित चित्तः सदा तस्याश्वस्थानीयानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रवर्तयितुं निवर्तयितुं वा शक्यानि वश्यानि दान्ताः सदश्वा इव एतरसार्थेः. He says, but that intellect which is yahatu, but tu means but, that intellect, so we are talking about the charioteer or the intellect here, that intellect, and which is this intellect? Not the avijnanavan bhavati. In the 5th verse, we talked about avijnanavan. Here it is vijnanavan. So, the other than the previous one, and what happens to it if it is opposite of what was told before? Opposite of what was told before, it becomes vijnanavan. Vijnanavan means capable, adept. Has the potential, has the capacity of discrimination, and yuktena manasa sada. So here vijnanavan pragruhita mana samahita chittaha. So here he says, विज्ञानवान प्रगृहीत मनाः समाहित चित्तः, and which is this vijnanavan intellect, discriminating intellect? It is that which keeps the manaha samahita chittaha sada. It is that which is able to keep the mind, I'm saying, is able to keep the mind under control. In other words, it is able to keep the mind equanimous. It is able to keep in a balanced mode. What is the balanced mode? It means neither too much tension nor too loose. The right tension. Is it the same tension required for all the horses? No. Each horse is different. Because sometimes the vision is more powerful, sometimes the ear is more powerful. Every day, right now, your ears are more active than other senses. So he must know how to handle these. So what does it mean? Tasya ashwasthaniyani indriyani pravartayitum nivartayitum va shakyani vashyani, means through that restrained mind or samahita chittaha, samahita manaha, he is able to withdraw or involve the senses at will. Very important point. The intellect is able to involve at will, involve or withdraw. Pravartayitum means involvement, nivartayitum means withdrawal. So are we having a healthy discriminative ability wherein we are able to exercise control over how much to eat, how much to sleep, when to wake up, what to talk, what not to talk, what to see, what not to see, what to hear, what not to hear, at the sensory level and even in the mind. You sit for meditation and the mind is going at a 1000 kilometer per hour per minute speed, imagining. You must be able to you must have the power to bring it take the control back. This is vijnanavan bhavati. And this possibility is this vijnanavan, that means that intellect in whom there is the capacity of discrimination, through which it is able to restrain the mind, and through restraining the mind is able to control the involvement and withdrawal of the senses. This possibility is available in that intellect. Whether it exercises or doesn't exercise, that is a different matter. But that capacity must be there. Dhanta sadashvaha iva itara saratehe. For such person, the senses are like good horses which are under the control of the charioteer. In the previous verse, the horses were wild. They were not under the control of the charioteer. Here in this verse, for a Vijnanavan, the man of the intellect is discriminative. It has the capacity to restrain the mind, and as a result, the horses are behaving properly. Behaving. What is the where will the horses go? Not where they want to. They will go where the intellect is guiding them to go to. And they are listening. If we find that our senses are not listening to us, our tongue is not listening to us, our mind is not listening to us, understand, intellect is not in play. Your intellect is very weak. Intellect means discriminator or decision making or willpower that is weak. You are not worked out in your life what is worthy of pursuit and what is not worthy of pursuit. Now, and don't then beat yourself up that, oh man, I think I have lost the opportunity in this life. No, 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 no. It just takes 1 minute, 1 second to shift. 1 second, microsecond to shift. Either you are or you are not in control. Simple as that. If you're not in control, be in control. If you are in control, then be more in control. And for this, we must do small experiments in life. Decide, I'm not going to drink coffee for 1 week. See if you are able to live up to that. Next week, I'm not going to eat rice for 1 week. See if you can live up to that. When you decide that you don't want to eat, your tongue wants it so badly. You decide that I'm not going to check my SMSs. It may not be practical, but I'm not going to check YouTube. Okay. SMSs you check, but I'm not going to check YouTube. Or I'm not going to listen to news for 1 month. It's called digital detox. But stick to it. If you are not, you will watch, you will see where the problem is. Problem is not in your senses. Problem is in your decision making and your commitment to the state, the vow that you have taken. So practice in small things. Don't do it for 1 month. Do it for 1 day, then do it for 5 days, then do it for 1 week, then do it for a fortnight, then do it for 1 month. Slowly keep increasing your capacity. Don't go into it gung ho and just lose all confidence because you put such a high goal in front of you that it was just not possible. Slowly build up your capacity. तस्य पूर्वोक्तस्य अविज्ञानवतः बुद्धिसारथेः इदं फलम् आह. Tasya Purvoktasya, the one whom we had talked about before, Purvoktasya, Purvaha Uktasya, of whom we had spoken before. Who was the one whom we had spoken before? Avijnanavan, the weak intellect, the non-discriminating intellect. Verse number 5 we are talking about here. Who is that? Avijnanavatah buddhi saradehe. That type of buddhi, that type of charioteer. What does the phalam aha, what does the Shruti say that he gets in return? Or what is the result for him? Very important. These are very important verses. This is the foundation of our spiritual sadhana. Without body, we cannot, with body, breath, mind, intellect, we cannot do sadhana. Even though we are the infinite reality, we are thinking that we are body. Now, if we are the body, are we at the mercy of the empirical body, or are we the masters of the body, breath, mind, intellect? Are we following wherever the senses and mind take us? Senses mean the six senses, five senses, and the sixth is the mind. Where the senses take us, either in the outside world or in the imaginary world, or the senses and the mind go where we dictate it to go. For that, you have to nurture, you have to nourish the senses with the proper food, proper nourishment. The mind has to be nourished properly. The senses, all the five senses have to be nourished properly. Even Sri Krishna or any charioteer for that matter, or a Mahut, when they come down from the chariot after a whole day, they take care of the horse, they pat him, they feed him, they scrub him, they bathe him. So we have to nourish all of them. So what happens to such a avijnanavan, to such a person who is having a weak intellect, who is non-discriminative, who is under the influence of the mind and the senses? In other words, a charioteer who is not able to control the senses through the reins. He is finding it difficult to counter the power of the horses. The reins, his hands are hurting. The reins are slipping out of his hands. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati. Yastu avijnanavan bhavati. Amanaskah sada shuchihi. Amanaskah sada shuchihi. न स तत्पदमाप्नोति न स तत्पदमाप्नोति संसारं चाधिगच्छति संसारं चाधिगच्छति यस्तु अविज्ञानवान् भवति अमनस्कः सदा शुचिः न स तत्पदमाप्नोति संसारं चाधिगच्छति. So, what happens to this avigyanavan? Again, yahatu, but but he who is that? That charioteer, Sarathi, that charioteer. Who is this charioteer? Uh, who is avigyanavan, who is non-discriminative. Non-discriminative means the one who has not invoked the power of the intellect to control or steer the horses through the reins, and therefore, as a result, here he says, sadashuchi na satat padam apnoti. Such a person, he does not reach the goal. He is not able to attain the goal. Sansaram cha adhigacchati. And then, if he is not able to attain the goal, then where does he reach? And what is our goal? That is our also important point. Why have we given the analogy of the chariot? To use this body for what purpose? To eat, drink, and make merry? No, to be a spiritual sadhak, so that we come to recognize that we are in essence the Parabrahma Paramatma. Isn't it? So when we are behaving like this, avigyanavan, not practicing our discrimination, not keeping the horses and the reins under our control, then he is saying you will not, such a person will not reach the goal of self perfection. Then what will happen? Samsaran cha adhigacchati. He will go to the samsar. What is samsar? Me and mine. Samsar is me and mine. I and mine. My body, my mind, my senses, my family, my possessions, my memories, my future, my sadhana, my health, my hunger. What is mine? Nothing. So this is the destination of a person whose intellect is lacking in intelligence. The discrimination, nothing but intelligence, common sense is lacking. And understand, you are if you don't clutter or present your intellect again and again with unwanted data, it will be able to make correct decisions. But when the mind is impure, and that impure data is going to the intellect, what will the intellect do? Every day of the life, it is bombarded with that impure data. And what is impure data? Everything that is not self, everything that is changing, everything that is finite, everything that is other than the self is impure data. So what are we presenting so whenever you continuously in life you are making decisions. Today also you must have made a decision to come to the satsang. But this is only one event out of your 24 hours. What was the quality of decisions for the rest of the day? How much time did we spend thinking about the infinite, the Atmic self? How much time did we spend? See, it's good we are coming here, no doubt. But how much time on our own, apart from the class, where we uh, uh, able to be self-oriented in the self-poise, even while we are working in the world, was our attention on the self? And such a person, samsaram cha adhigacchati. Another way of putting sansar is where there is birth and death, that is sansar. So he is, what you call, falls into the cycle of birth and death. This is his lot. So now decide, are you Vigyan? Are we inspired by these words to be Vijnanavan, discriminative? And discrimination is always between the real and the unreal, changeless and the changing. Or are we going to be Avijnanavan? And Avijnanavan is the one who is at the mercy of the mind, who is at the mercy of the horses. And when horses and the reins are uncontrolled, then that chariot cannot reach any destination. Such people are only complaint boxes because can't go it anywhere. यह तु अविज्ञानवान् भवति अमनस्कः अप्रगृहीत मनस्कः स तत् एव अशुचिः सदैव न स रथि तत्पूर्वोक्तम् अक्षरं यत्परं पदम् आप्नोति तेन सारथिना न केवलं कैवल्यं न आप्नोति संसारं च जन्म मरण लक्षणम् अधिगच्छति. But yahatu, but he who is avijnanavan bhavati, he who is non-discriminative, amanaskaha, whose mind is uncontrollable, such a person, saha tat eva ashuchihi sadaiva. Such a person will always live. Here very beautifully he has said, Saha tata eva ashuchihi sada eva. Such a mind, such a person will always live an impure life. What is impurity? He will live a life of indiscipline. He will live a life of Kama Krodha Lobha Maha Mada Matsarya. Ashuchi is also hygiene. He will be unhygienic in his thinking, in his seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting. Unhygienic means you can work it out. We are all every now and then fall into that category. So such a person is always sada eva, always ashuchihi. He lives unclean. He sees unclean, he hears unclean, he smells unclean, he thinks unclean. It is a natural consequence of what? Of not invoking your discrimination, which is not invoking intelligence even after having heard the Upanishad. So when we are listening to the Upanishad, when we are speaking about the Upanishad, everything falls. Yeah, man, this is exactly, I know it. It clicks. It is so right what is being said. But don't be a Duryodhan who knows everything that is right but is incapable of putting it into practice in life. न स रथी तत्पूर्वोक्तम अक्षरम यत परम padam apnoti tena sarathina. And such a jeev, such a sarathi, through him, that Sarathina, that charioteer or that Sarathi, through him, or that intellect, Sarathi or the charioteer is equal to the intellect, he is not able to take the reach, not take, reach the goal of uh, Aksharam Yat Param Padam. He is not able to reach the goal of the infinite truth, the infinite goal. He is incapable of reaching there. न केवलम कैवल्यम न आपनोति संसारम च जन्म मरण लक्षणम अधिगच्छति. Not only this, न केवलम कैवल्यम न आपनोति. Not only this, but he, on the other one hand, he is not able to reach the Parampadam, and on the other, he falls into the whirlpool of samsar, where and sansar here meaning janma marana lakshana, and its lakshana is where there is birth and cyclical birth and death. This is what is told here. So, in the 7th verse, what is the phala? What is the result of pursuing to have a weak intellect? In other words, living in a default mode in your life. Weak intellect means living a default mode. Weak intellect means not invoking our intelligence, common sense. They say common sense is not common nowadays. It has become uncommon. See? So this is the result of a avigyanavan. Now what is the result? What is the phala that the Shrutis declare? Shruti meaning the Vedas, the Upanishads. What is the phala that the Shrutis declare for the Vigyanavan? For the one who has invoked his intelligence, whose intellect is strong and discriminative? What is the result he will get? Here it says, यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति, यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति, समनस्कः सदा शुचिः, समनस्कः सदा शुचिः, स तु तत्पदमाप्नोति यस्माद् भूयो न जायते, यस्माद् भूयो न जायते. Together, यस्तु विज्ञानवान् भवति, समनस्कः सदा शुचिः, स तु तत्पदमाप्नोति यस्माद् भूयो न जायते. How nicely the teacher Yahatu, who is this Yahatu? That master of the chariot. Huh? Because intellect is also someone's, no? The charioteer is of the chariot. But whose is the chariot? It is the jivas. It is the, you can use the word soul here, or the one who is the master of the chariot. Well, master in the sense of master, he owns it. In other words, true master will be whose intellect is strong. That one we are coming to now. But body is someone's, the horses are someone's, the reins are someone's, the charioteer is someone. They are all employed. They are all working. They should be working for the master, for the boss. If they are working for the boss, then it is good. He will reach his destination. If they don't work for the boss, then the master will not reach the destination. If the but यह तु विज्ञानवान भवति, if the charioteer is not charioteer, यह तु, he who is this he who? He is the Vijnanavan. Who is Vijnanavan? Who is what do you call? Who has restrained his mind, who is discriminative, has restrained his mind, and samanaska sada shuchihi, and always living with hygiene. Hygiene at the mental level, hygiene at the sensory level. Sada shuchihi, manaska sada shuchihi. Before it was amanaska sada eva ashuchihi. See, for such a person, satu tat padam apnoti. For such a person, he is able to attain the ultimate goal of self-realization, and what is, so one hand he attains that goal, and on the other hand there is no rebirth for him. To previous one, what was it? He does not reach the goal and he falls into the whirlpool of sansar, which is birth and death. Cycles of birth and death. For one who has invoked his intelligence, common sense, basic understanding, if we are understanding again and again, Bhagavad Gita is telling, Amritanubhav is telling, Upanishad is telling, Adhyatma Ramayana is telling, same point is different ways it is being presented. How much more the Shrutis can be compassionate towards us. They want our benefit. They want us to come to the Parampadam. Somewhere it is given through the Ramchandraji story, somewhere it is coming as a Upanishad, another place it's coming as the words of realization from a realized master. How many ways she is coming and prodding us, hey, wake up, wake up. Live a life of discipline. Shuchi means not just cleanliness, it means a life of discipline. Your five senses are disciplined, your mind is disciplined. In yoga also the first step is, what is that? Yama niyama. Yama niyama is nothing but living a disciplined life. Yama is living disciplined life with the right sort of interaction with the world, so that the world does not become an impediment to you. And niyama is living such a disciplined life that your habits, your senses, your mind does not become an impediment in your sadhana. Same point is being here. For that, we have to come to this conclusion. Enough is enough, man. हो गया, बहुत हो गया. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years we have lived in the default mode. It's enough. Let it all happen. I don't care anymore. I just care for one thing, and that is Parampadam. For if I am completely ready for that, then what groundwork I have to create? The groundwork that I have to create is my intellect must be invoked. Intelligence must be invoked. to invoke the intelligence. But yeah, my intelligence is there, but it is only about the world. It is not about the it's not doing the discrimination that it is supposed to do. It's thinking where I should invest and where I should not invest. It is discriminating what I should eat and what I should not eat. It is discriminating where should I travel or where should I not travel. This is not discrimination. Again and again we repeat, discrimination means differentiating between the real and the unreal, the constant and the changing, the infinite and the finite, the permanent and the impermanent. And when we become aware of that, we don't know it. Yes, we don't know it right now. We have not realized yet. But then question comes, why is it not happening? Here is the answer. If the intellect is weak, the charioteer is weak. The chariot, because the horses are doing what they want and the reins are are being under the control of the horses, because the horse moves this way, the rein also goes that way. If the horse goes this way, the rein goes that way. It is not able to restrain the senses. Such a chariot doesn't reach any destination. So let's slowly bring ourselves to such a position, gently, elegantly, effortlessly, by continuous awareness. And for that, continuous awareness does not mean to be continuously aware of the senses and of the mind and of the world. No, 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 no. Continuous awareness of the self. Be aware of the self. Automatically everything will come under control. This is the intelligence that we have to invoke. See? Are we choosing to walk on the many roads that life presents in front of us? Or are we ready to walk only on one road? If we are married to the senses or at the mercy of the senses, 5 different roads. If we are under the control of the mind, many imaginary roads. Lose the plot completely. Or other way you can put it, for the 5 senses, there are different roads. Should I take this road or should I take that road? Should I go this way or should I go that way? Should I smell this or should I smell that? Should I taste this or should I taste that? Should I hear this or should I hear that? Should I feel this or should I feel that? So many options are there. You want to understand what options is? Go into a food court, you will find out how many options are available to your senses. Or even better, go into a sari shop with a woman. She will get all the types of saris in India, not here. She'll feel this one, she'll feel that one. And then she wants the best of everything all in one sari, which is not available. See? But when the intellect is purified, this is the journey of the senses and the mind. But when we are talking about our intellect, the intellect's goal is only one. It has got only one path. What is that path? That path is towards the higher. Either you call Parabrahma Paramatma, or you call it Vaishwanara, or you call it Hiranyagarbha. At the relative level, because while we are thinking what is the limit of thinking? The limit of thinking, what is the highest that you can think about according to the scriptures? It is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha, not Garbha. I am becoming Kannada. Hiranyagarbha, Vaishwanara. And what is this Vaishwanara? Just like all the paths at the base of the mountain seem to be separate from each other, but they all reach one point, which is the peak of the mountain. Exactly the same way. Exactly the same way. All the paths reach the Hiranyagarbha, Garbha, the Vaishwanara, the Supreme Person. Everything gets melted into it. In fact, everything is it. We just don't have the eye to see it because the discriminative power has not been invoked. Our pulling into our senses getting pulled into the world, our mind getting pulled into the imaginations, memories, expectations, future planning, etc., etc., survival, fears, so many things we get pulled on a daily basis. All this melts away when the intellect contemplates on that Hiranyagarbha, when the intellect contemplates on the self, when the intellect contemplates on the constant principle. We have already talked about the constant even while we are listening right now. What is that constant who is not changing? Words are changing, thoughts are changing, but there is someone who is continuous, in whose presence all this data is coming, staying, and then going away. So, this onslaught, this continuous onslaught, the data coming from the five senses, the data coming from the mind, all this becomes neutralized. All this becomes neutralized when our attention is on that, not on the diversity, but on the unity behind. Whose attention? Intellect. Intellect is contemplating on the unifying principle rather than on the diversified world. Water is the constant. The waves, the ocean, the froth, the tides, the tsunami, the bubbles, that is the diversified world. Where is our attention? Is it on the constant water or it is on the various names and forms? This is a big one. This is what needs to be invoked in our life. And we cannot bring our attention, bring the intellect to contemplate on that unifying principle, that Vaishwanara, that Hiranyagarbha, that Atman, until and unless the intellect has not, or the I thought, the I has not withdrawn from the mind and from the senses. Isn't it? Till then it will not become available because the power of the sense, the world, is so fantastic. It's so fantastic. So we need to invoke our intelligence. That is discrimination. That is what is worthy of pursuit. Is the diversity important to be pursued? Me, my children, my grandchildren, my food, my breakfast, my lunch, my dinner, my clothes, my puja, my this, my that. Or while doing all that, attention is on the constant one. the unchanging one, the Sakshi. And this we decide that, oh, I want to take shower every morning. I start my day clean. Till I don't do the puja, I don't eat anything. Good, very good, good discipline. It's a healthy one. And you will not go out of the house without eating breakfast. Why? Because it gives you nourishment. Very good, good decision. But here we are not talking about surviving in the world. We are talking about coming back to our essential nature. Now we have to realize that I made the decision of taking bath in the morning. Why can't I make the decision that I am one with the Hiranyagarbha? That I am one, I am the Atman, Aham Brahmasmi. Why can't I think that way? Which is more important, taking bath or being the self? What is more important, eating your breakfast, lunch, dinner, or being the self? What is important, seeing, hearing, touching, feeling, tasting, thinking, or being the self? What is more important, waking, dreaming, sleeping, or being the self? What is more important, thinking about past, present, future, or being the self? What is more important, thinking yourself to be the panch koshas, the five sheaths, or being the self? This is discrimination. We have to, this is your, you have to invoke this intelligence. And this intelligence will only get invoked until and only when we withdraw from the senses and withdraw from the mind. This is exactly what we do when we go to the temple. We close our eyes. This is exactly what we do when we go to sleep also. Automatically the withdrawal happens, isn't it? Because your conviction that I will be nourished by sleep for tomorrow is so deep that you have got no doubt about it. If we can think about sleep which cannot be thought, it is a no mind state. Why are you not convinced of the self which is going to nourish you once and for all? It is not even every night. It will nourish us once and for all. Story over. No more shunting. No more efforts. No more conclusions. Apnoti parampadam. Then no more that also. Because then you will realize you are already that. But why don't we invoke this intelligence that yeah, enough is enough? Why do we choose to be a slave to the senses and mind? And through the senses and mind to the world, which has never given a lasting happiness. It has never been able to give us a continuous happiness. And here, Upanishads are saying, realized masters are saying, through their words, through their disposition, through their life, that the only worthy to be pursued is the Parampadam. Why don't, and that you are, why don't we seek it? Because our intelligence is not invoked. Intelligence is not invoked. Yes, it is invoked, that's why you are listening right now. But it needs to go the next level. So, just as all the paths at the bottom of the mountain merge into the one destination, that is the top of the mountain, similarly, all the five horses through the rains, how many rains will be there? 10 rains. The five horses through the rains merging into one intellect. Understand? One intellect. It's not multiple intellects there. Only one intellect. Now, question is, this intellect is thinking of the five horses and the mind, or it is thinking of the unifying principle, because who is his master? Is he thinking, is the intellect contemplating on the all-encompassing principle? Is it contemplating on the one without a second principle? Is it contemplating on the constant principle, unchanging principle, infinite principle? Is it? Or is it busy enjoying, surrendering to the senses? Default position. If the five horses, here it says, where are we? यस्तु द्वितीयो विज्ञानवत् सारथी उपेतः रथी विद्वान, कहाँ गया विद्वान, विद्वान इति एततः एतत्. So here he says that, now where are we on again? So that chariot which is having a good charioteer, meaning a good intellect, who is here the word used is Vijnanavat Sarathi Upetaha. Vijnanavat, that he is intelligent, he has invoked, he is using his discrimination, he has got the power. The power does not come from physicality. The charioteer, he is a physical person, no? His capacity to hold the senses and through the reins does not merely come from the physicality. He can be the great exercise, do great exercise. The Duryodhan was a great strong person, but was he a good charioteer? No. Maybe he was better than many others, but compared to Krishna, Karna, Arjun, King Madra, he was not good enough. Why? His mind was, what is mine, and what is yours is also mine. Weak intellect. And samanask, meaning it is a disciplined mind. Yukta manaha samanaskah sa tat eva sada shuchihi satu tat padamapnoti yasmad aptat padad aprachuta sanbhuyah punah na jayate sansare. And such a person, the one who is with a controlled mind, such a person will always live hygienically, means live in a disciplined manner, and therefore such a person, tat padam apnoti, is always able to, this is the phala, that he will always gain the he will get the gain the highest goal that is there to be gained. And once he has gained that goal, aprachyuta sanbhuya punar na jayate, and once having gained that, he is free from the cycle of some birth and death, which is the samsara itself. And uh, in this manner, the bhashya, yeah, we have already covered the points, but the bhashya, uh, what will happen to the what will happen to the see, if the horses are running where they want to run, the charioteer is not able to not control, what will happen to the chariot? You know, we have already seen it. On the other hand, if all the horses and the reins and the charioteer, they are all synced together, what will be the power of that chariot? When we keep saying be synced from within, manasa vacha kaya, what you think is what you speak is what you act in life. Same thing here. The charioteer is holding the reins, and the reins are tethered to the horses. One slight pull from here, the horses stop. In these 5 gaps are the reins. He just does this much, the left hand side horse will become more tight, others are loose. If he just pulls the ones in the middle, they become tight, others are still under control, but so when they know that there is a master behind, and who is this master? Who has the capacity? And where is his capacity coming? From the infinite, from the unifying principle. Why? He is contemplating on the unifying principle. How beautiful the chariot will, the charioteer and the chariot. You know, sometimes you see the horse races or some games or some, what is this, the obstacle course that the horse has to follow. In Olympics, there is this game, they have to, it becomes it, some of them are so beautiful that the chariot, the horse person, the horse rider and the horse are one. Very gently, elegantly, it glides over the obstacles, and then it's just so beautiful to watch. And yet at other play, or when you're seeing a horse race, the sync in which the horse and the horse rider are tuk, jump karte ja rahe hain, there is not even a slight discrepancy there. Is that alignment there within us as a seeker? Is our chariot, which is body, breath, mind, intellect. So here we are only looking at body is the vehicle, the chariot is there, but are the senses and the mind under the control of the chariot? Are they listening to the charioteer? That is the integration, that is the alignment, that is the synchronization that is required. Then the owner of the chariot will reach the destination wherever it is required. Otherwise, not possible at all. That's why Arjuna asked he does not know that he is the Lord, but he knows he is someone extraordinary. And therefore he says, I don't want anyone, I want only you, I don't want your army. And what he says, I'm not going to lift any weapons or astra shastra. I'm not going to fight. What do you want me for? He says, I want you to ride my chariot. It will never lose its way on the in the battlefield of life. So when we are living daily in this battling the world, negotiating the world, are we as a ego negotiating, or are we surrendered to the Lord, to the Atma, to the unifying principle, to the Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara, and then functioning in this world? Remember Bhagavad Gita verses just now we did last two classes, that's what we are doing. That is the art of functioning effortlessly in this life, making sure that every time we reach the destination. And what is the destination? Not in the world. Destination is the self. When I say every time, just as the chariot in the battlefield has to move wherever the charioteer wants, the owner of the chariot wants the chariot to go, it must go there. So where do we want to go? We want to go in the world, or we want to go to be the self, to be one with the divine. With Arjuna, continuously Krishna is there to guide him. With us, who is there? Our ego. With us, who is there? The Father, the Son, the brother, or the Lord. Who is there? Whom are we surrendered to? Who is guiding our life? Arjuna's life is guided by Krishna. Who is guiding our life? Our decisions or his decisions? Kim tat padamiti aha. What is this goal? What is this goal, that tat padam that you are talking about? What is it? That is being told in the next verse. विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु मनः प्रग्रहवान्नरः मनःप्रग्रहवान्नरः सोऽध्वनः परमाप्नोति सोऽध्वनः परमाप्नोति तद्विष्णो परमं पदम् तद्विष्णो परमं पदम्. Together, विज्ञानसारथिर्यस्तु मनः प्रग्रहवान्नरः सोऽध्वनः परमाप्नोति तद्विष्णो परमं पदम्. How beautiful. Kim tat padam iti aha. Now, what is that ultimate goal? What is that unifying principle? What is that ultimate destination? Regarding that is told in this particular verse, and it says, a person who has intelligence, discriminative intelligence as the charioteer. The one who has discriminative intelligence as his charioteer, whose mind acts as the reins which are under the control of the charioteer, because discrimination is going on, such a person alone reaches the final destination on the journey, which is and what is that ultimate goal, which is the destination? Here it is told, Tad Vishnoho Paramam Padam. That ultimate goal is that ultimate padam, ultimate destination is the Vishnu pada. We'll explain Vishnu pada in our next class, but we'll look at it. Say, at the relative level, what is the maximum you can go to? What is the maximum you can get to? Hiranyagarbha. Huh?
Ishvara.
Ishvara. No.
Like totality.
Ishvara is not totality. Ishvara's potentiality is unmanifest. When Ishvara's potentiality manifests, that Ishvara is called Vishnu. Vishnoho. Vishnu is the Lord of the waking plane, total waking plane. Understand? The consciousness expressing through individual waking plane, Jagrat Avastha, is called Vishwa. Consciousness that is expressing through total waking plane is called Vishnu. Sadhana cannot be done in dream, sadhana cannot be done in sleep. Sadhana can only be done in waking. Understand? So in waking, what is the ultimate goal? Ultimate goal, we saw that before, no? Hiranyagarbha. So what is that Hiranyagarbha? That is Vishnu at relative level. But that, who is this Vishnu? This Vishnu knows that he is not, he alone is the Narayana. Vishnu alone knows that he is the Narayana. And because there is no difference between Narayana and Vishnu, there is no difference between Brahma and Narayana also. There is no difference between Shiva and Narayana also. But all these three, from devotional point, we use the word Narayana or Ishvara. This is where a lot of confusion is there. Should we be following Vishnu or should we be following Narayana? So that Parabrahma Paramatma is given the name Narayana. See, all these three gods, they already know what their essence is. They have got no doubt. But among them, because we are doing the sadhana can only be done in the waking. In the waking, the Lord of the waking is Vishnu. So therefore the word Vishnu is given. This is one understanding. So here he says that, which is Vishnu also means the supreme reality. Our idea of Vishnu is only as the Shankha Chakra Gada Padmadhari. That is our lack of, that is our default thinking. So Vishnu himself means the Paramapada. So now, what is the time? Yeah, we can complete this भाष्य. विज्ञान सारथि ही यह तु यह विवेक बुद्धि सारथि ही पूर्वोक्तः मन प्रग्रहवान् प्रगृहीत मनाः समाहित चित्तः सन् शुचिः नरः विद्वान् सोध्वनः संसारगतेः पारं परम एव अधिगन्तव्यम् इति एतद् आपनोति मुच्यते सर्वसंसारबन्धनैः. He says the what do you call the what we had discussed earlier, the Vijnanavan Sarathi, the charioteer who is intelligent, who has intelligence invoked, Viveka Buddhi Sarthi, who has the discrimination, Viveka, and Purvokta Mana Pragrahavan Pragruhita Manaha Samahita Chitta San, and whose mind is under his control. Mind under being restrained mind means what? Again, another understanding you have to take. What does a restrained mind mean? Restrained mind means that mind which is not thinking of too many things but thinking of only one thing. So, what is mana? What is, remember the five bhumi of conditions of mind? Mudha, Kshipta, Vikshipta, Ekagra, and Niruddha. So, restrained mind is Ekagra Chitta Mana, Ekagra Mana. So, what is that intelligence? That intelligence is such that the mind has become single pointed. Instead of multi pointed, it has become one pointed. You make the decision and the mind thinks about that decision, isn't it? Mind always follows the convictions you have. Mind does not have the capacity to make convictions or decisions. You decide, mind will follow. So, my intellect has decided, I want to contemplate. Mind will keep thinking, single pointed. All the thoughts going to that. So, such a person, such a Sarathi with intelligence, with Vivek, he mana pragrahavan pragrahita manaha samahita chittaha san, meaning he who has whose mind has become single pointed, whose mind has come under control, the mind which is vigilant and alert, nigruhita. You can even say it, that mind which wants to go back home. Every day you go out to work, you only want to come back home. So that mind which is vigilant, alert, single pointed, contemplating on the destination that the intelligence or the intellect has presented to it or concluded, such a mind alone is a pure mind, is a disciplined mind, and such a mind alone can go beyond the samsara gati, the continuous flux of the world. What is the flux of the world? The various roles that you are playing, all the default settings that are there, the waking, dream, and deep sleep that is again a default setting, thinking about past, present, future. All these are default settings. We have to wean ourselves out of it. And for that, basic minimum requirement is not that the mind must become single pointed. First, the intelligence has to be invoked. And once you make the decision that, yes, I want this sorted once and for all, the mind will start thinking about it again and again. And as it starts thinking about it, automatically it will become disciplined. It will entertain only those thoughts which are conducive to the contemplation. Just as you are doing right now and I am doing right now. It will not indulge in the world. Only for need basis. Only need basis. That's our whole life. Interaction with the world, involvement in the world, only need basis. not for indulgence. No window shopping. Window shopping means gaye kaam se. Only need basis. And that also, you have to realize that also is automatically taken care of. You don't even have to do that need. Initially I'm saying need basis, but as you become uh, single pointed, even that is taken care of afterwards. The needs are also taken care of. Yoga kshemam vahamyaham, the Lord says, I'll take care. Ananyashchintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga kshemam vahamyam. You think exclusively about me, meaning exclusively means not with the interpolation of the world sometimes or the other. No, completely surrender to me, only think about me, I will take care of everything in your life. We are not convinced, that's why we are not doing it. We are not uh, our we have not invoked our intelligence to this conclusion, because we are still attached to the world. We are still attached to our memories. We are still attached to our expectations, our future. We are still attached to the extensions to our body: the house, the car, the sofa, the bed, the bed sheet, the pillow, the children, the grandchildren, the foods. How does it matter? Hunger comes, whatever food comes in front of it, quietly eat and go. Yes, or don't eat and go. Such a person with such an intelligence as a charioteer, he is able to attain the Paramapad. He is able to attain the Paramatma. Where are we? विद्वांसः अध्वनः संसारगतेः पारं परम एव अधिगन्तव्यम् इति एतत् प्राप्नोति मुच्यते सर्वसंसार बन्धनैः. Muchyate, he is able to he gets released from the clutches of the samsar and is able to attain the paramapad. Adhigantavyam iti etat apnoti. So he is able to cross the ocean of samsar and uh, abide in the Paramatma. तद्विष्णोः व्यापनशीलस्य ब्रह्मणः परमात्मनः वासुदेवाख्यस्य परमं प्रकृष्टं पदं स्थानं सतत्वम् इति एतद् यदसौ आपनोति विद्वान्. So he says that Vishnu, meaning Tad Vishnoho, that Vishnu, Vyapanashilasya Brahmanah Paramatmanah Vasudevakhyasya. Beautiful. Meaning Vasudev. Who is this Vasudev? Vasudev is Vyapanashilasya, who is all pervasive. Who is all pervasive, and who is he? He is the Brahman himself, he is the Paramatmana, and Paramam Prakrushtam Padam Sthanam, and he is the ultimate, he is the highest destination. He and such a person, such a contemplator or such, because intellect is working for the jiva, remember, the owner of the chariot. Such a person is able to attain that paramam padam, which is called Vishnu. Tad Vishnoho paramam padam. You have to think about another way. When we are using the word Vishnu, okay, we can use it Paramatma also, but here just because, see, yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasasa. If words cannot take you there and mind cannot comprehend, then what are we talking about? Intellect contemplating on the parampada. But that is the only faculty you have, no? That is the only faculty you have. Right now, Vasudev. Vasudev is pure intellect. But which intellect? Here it says Vyapanashilasya. It is the expanded intellect. What is expanded intellect? That intellect which has got no variety to contemplate on, because mind has become single pointed. It is contemplating on the Paramapada. In that, and what is the Paramapada? It is Paramatma, it is Atma, it is Vishnu, it is Narayana, it is Shiva, whatever you may call it. What is their disposition? What is their disposition? What is Vishnu's disposition? That Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashritaha. Forget the second line, just first part. That what is his disposition? I am the total being and I am alone expressing from all the sentient beings, isn't it? He is the material and the efficient cause. What is our condition? We think of someone gave birth to us, one day we will die. These conclusions in our mind only come when we think we are the body. That I was born. What was born? Body was born. What will die? Body will die. What was born? A thought was born. What will die? What dies? A thought dies. Waker is born. Dreamer is born. Waker dies. Dreamer dies. When have you died? Never. When can you die? Never. Realization of this fact while living is what we are pursuing here in this Upanishad through the dialogue of Nachiket and the Lord of Death. So as the senses are the world is withdrawing into the senses are withdrawing into the mind is single pointedly thinking of that which the intellect has decided is worthy of contemplation. And what is worthy of contemplation is infinite in nature. It is all pervasive in nature. Vyapanashilasya brahmanaha. Here it's not brahmana, brahmana, meaning the Brahman. It is cool, shilasya. It is vyapavar, meaning it is all pervasive. So when you thinking about that, you are thinking about Vishnu, you are thinking about Brahman, you are thinking about Paramatman, you are thinking about Atman, whichever word you may use. But what is their nature? By nature, they are infinite. So when you think about them, you are thinking with finite thought. Even if you say Om, it begins and it ends, isn't it? So it is finite as long as it is in your mouth. But as we keep contemplating on it, Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para, the mind merges into that which it is contemplating on, just like mind merges into the sleep or is pulled into the sleep or is pervaded by sleep. This is called surrender. Every night you are practicing it. It has to be done consciously, that's all. The Vishnu Pad, you can only knock on the door of the Vaikuntha. It has to open from inside. Then you are pulled in. Then you are no longer. Now, once our intelligence and intellect, it has merged into the Paramapada, and Paramapada's nature is all pervasive, one without a second. What do you become? What is your status now? What is your status? So, the owner of the chariot used the intelligence, used the mind, controlled the horses to focus on that which was worthy of reaching, took the chariot in that direction with discipline, with commitment, with vigilance, with alertness, without losing the plot, with full integrity. And once he reaches, sansar is over. For others, that person is still there, but for that person, sansar is over. Because the person is no longer there. For people, the body is there. Anyway, that's not the point here. So, such a Vijnanavan attains that Parama Pad, that Paramatma Pad, that Atma Pad, that Vishnu Pad. And in this manner, we conclude this verse. We'll look into it again in our next class. We'll look into it again. We'll go a bit more deeper into the verse. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.